place with those giant teepees. It's a pine forest reserve. I'm not gonna give names, but this place is pretty cool. So last time, this big giant X. There are pieces that go all the way up to 30. Some of them. Look at this one, guys. Holy shit. I thought the last one was big.
What is going on, folks? How you doing? Guess who's with me? Mr. Mike, Long Island Bigfoot, Mr. Mike. How you doing, brother?
Doing all right. How about you, man?
Well, I'm happy that you're with me. That's cool. Thank you for sharing your Friday night. I know you've gone through quite a bit today.
Yeah.
Get here with us with all those pokes in your head, man. So
I know. Yeah, I think 32 needles, I think. So.
not too many. You know.
Yeah, not bad. If I make all these awkward movements the whole time, just bear with me, guys. I apologize.
So yeah, we'll see who's in the house. We got Friends with Monsters. I think that's the dude I'm supposed to talk to. I think.
Yeah, check him. Yeah, I think.
Right. Hey, let me. I'm gonna shove something in here while anybody that wants to talk to me and wants to get on the show or just talk. Email is right here. Please copy it and email it. And you don't have to say much. Just say hi, and I'll go from there. Okay. If you want to talk, which I would love to have you talk, especially if you had. I'm not into the scary stories and all that. I'm looking for fellow researchers who understand a little bit more about what's going on. So if you are open-minded enough to talk about the big picture, please join me. Here it's and if you just want to talk about anything else, there you go. You got a couple emails here. Brown Dwarf, thank you for being in the house, brother. Mr. Mills, thank you for being in the house, my brother. And got faithful right-hand man, Sheldon and Dom, thank you for being in the house. Camping with Squash, thank you for being in the house. Of course, Jared, Sasquatch Confessions, thank you for being in the house. If it wasn't for Jared, me and Mike wouldn't be talking.
He's probably, I guarantee you he's live right now on TikTok. I bet you.
I hope so.
He's probably watching us on TikTok.
Amen. From the other side of the waters and the motherland. Thank you for being with us. Bill, Maryland's Squatch Watcher. Thank you for being with us. Who else do we got going here? Did I miss somebody else? I probably missed somebody, but if I missed you, it's not personal. I'm just human. So not much of that either. So anyways, here we go, bro. Let's talk some stuff, man. Fellow researcher, man of the hour when it comes to finding giant freaking teepee structures in all places. And I mean all places. Long Island. What the heck's going on, man? What's going on in your turf, man? What's going on in your woods?
It's really like it's a really rich Native American Long Island, like Native American history. There was originally like 13 colonies there, and of course there were sub. I'm 13 colonies, geez, 13 tribes. Sorry. Um,
No
so, but they
worries.
had subdivision tribes or however you want to put it, but it was broke down. The island was broke down, I think, into 13 different tribes, and I'm not shocked that the stuff's there. I'm shocked that it stays up because everywhere I go, it seems like somebody's right there, right behind the Sasquatch, chopping it up and knocking it down. You know what I mean? So your eyes can't really, your eyes can't really process something if you never see it. You know what I mean? Like you
Right.
can't say, "Oh, that looks different," if somebody's always going through and chopping it down.
Go on with that a little more, man. Don't stop on me, man.
Yeah. So I mean, like someone like myself who's out there so regularly, I see how fast somebody's always like at least on trail. You know what I mean? And that's where most people go. Not a lot of people are gonna wander off trail, and because what are they looking for really? Nothing. Not like we are, And I'm thinking only because this place is a preserve, possibly that like it's something that they don't necessarily mess with too often. I really don't know. But these teepees, I mean, one of them, Montauk is Strangers in the chat. He's been there in person with me. One of them is, I mean, they're all big. There's a couple of really small ones too. Now they built like, it's almost like when somebody comes and messes with me about something. It's almost like the Sasquatch always seemed to have an answer for me for them, and it was like, oh, that's just people doing that. And so one day I was there recently, and then I went back because there was a snowstorm. So I went back the next day, and I don't remember exactly how it worked out, but I went back the next day, and there were teepees everywhere, brand new ones, boop, oh, literally overnight, poop, 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 all over the place, and it was just so refreshing. Like I don't know if it got through to that person or whatever, but it was like a haha, like for me, like let's just laugh at them and move on.
Okay. So when what do you mean that they're laughing? It's like they're kind of like a trickster spirit type of thing, kind of messing with
No,
you, or do
no,
you think?
more like my relationship with them. It's like they always have my back in a way. Like whenever I've ever had doubt, like self-doubt, where there's been like for instance, if I was like, oh, I don't know if they snapped that tree. Like, I don't know if that would happen. It could in the beginning. I'd say I don't know if that tree snap was a Sasquatch. It could have been the wind, or it could have been this. Like, 5 minutes down the trail, there would be like 3 giant tree snaps that like were impossible to be done by any other way, And it's always been like that for me. Like, it's always been like every time something needed to happen or like needed to be proven, it just kind of like it's like here. It's like there it is. It's almost like laid out. And I think a lot of that is that I am their messenger. That's what they want me to be, an ambassador between peoples. That was the first thing that was ever said to me, was that I was going to be an ambassador between peoples. And I was like, no, you got the wrong guy. Like, you got the wrong guy. And
That's interesting. You bring that up. That's that show that you introduced me to last weekend. That's on Facebook. What's the name of that one again?
probably Pork and Beans.
Pork and Beans. Now, one of the guys I think interviewed me back in 2017. The whole concept of being an ambassador to Bigfoot, he actually labeled me that back in 2017. I think if I got, he sure looks like the same guy, sounds like the same guy. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, I apologize. But you bring up this whole idea about the ambassador to Bigfoot. I find that fascinating because I was labeled that back in 2017, and I'm like, same response. I'm like, no way am I an ambassador to Bigfoot.
My
You
my
know,
journey didn't even start in 2017, and I didn't even meet the pork and beans guys till probably about a year ago. So it's quite possible that you guys have crossed paths. I mean, they're really good guys. I mean, they've been around a while. They're just like anybody else. It's like unless we help each other find each other, it's like you could literally be sitting next to somebody who can change your whole world, or really, you know, like be like some great, like there's so many great amazing things going on with people and their stories and their encounters and their journey, and they could literally be like, one click away. At this, the way the world is now, they're one click away, but we just have trouble finding them.
uh, yeah, that's a big issue, isn't it? But I think it's time, and we are now got the technology that I think that it's going to be much easier. So stuff like StreamYard and it doesn't take a genius now. I mean, if I can start a show, anybody can. I can tell you that much. And but
there's
yeah,
a gu- there's a guy called Show Me Bigfoot, and he has a I'm listed in there, but he came to me when I started and asked me for like where I was located, what channels, what days my live stream was like set, and this and that. And he does that with everyone, and he sets a database for people. So if you want, I could set you up with him, and
yeah,
he plugs you in this like catalog, so that anybody who wants to go and find shows, they're in alphabetical order. They're like what the show is, what it's about, da 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 da, ding 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 ding. And he's got probably I don't know. By now he's probably got thousands of people on there.
yeah, please do that. I talked to you a little bit before the show of what the intent and motivation I have as someone who has had encounters, that has sightings, who has all sorts of things that happen
Yes.
in my area since 2017, since I started researching. And so, my hope is a big part of like doing this is to reach out to fellow researchers and people who have had encounters and have a much more open dialogue. None of this, taking sides thing. None of this, what tribe you need to belong to your group. Let's pursue the truth together, where
Yeah.
that may lead us. And it might be very uncomfortable, and it's quite frankly, if it doesn't challenge your worldview at some level, you might not on the right path. I tell you.
Yeah.
And that's, but I'm just saying, maybe you know more than the rest of us, and therefore but anyways, the whole point here is it's listen, I mean, you have one of these things that's like 15 feet in front of your face, your whole life's going to change. And
Yeah.
if you've had whatever encounters that you've had, I mean, obviously your life has changed dramatically since you started. When did you actually start doing this?
I'd say it was late, like late in the year, maybe. Like winter, probably of maybe 2018. Uh,
So
somewhere.
basically the same time as me, really, just a year difference doesn't make any difference. So what motivated you? I'm going to ask you. Let's because let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre journey to take. All right. Okay. What are you going to
It
do
is.
today? Well, I'm going to go look for Bigfoot and tree structures in my woods. What? Yeah, I know. You're crazy, right? That's the whole. You're thinking that yourself, by the way. It's not
Well,
just
I
other
mean,
people.
once you realize that they're everywhere and can be anywhere, it's like just go pick a place that you're gonna enjoy. You know what I mean? And then manifest them from there. You know what I mean? Like,
Ah, the key. You said manifest them from there. That doesn't say that's a very honest statement, a very Freudian statement, slip, but it's true. You
it's
manifest
yeah.
them there. What now? Tell me more about that. You
Well,
manifest them there. You then we're gonna go back to the
I
beginning.
guess I'm making it sound very easy. Um,
No, no,
first
yeah,
you have to go out there and connect with them, right? So
yes.
I can't skip that part. Just because I'm past that connecting part doesn't mean that you gotta skip past it. So that's square one. Getting out there, getting their trust, and connect. I'm at a point where we've reached that. Trust is there, everything like that. So, um, I mean, all right. So I'll speak for me.
What else can you do, bro?
They're interdimensional, so like they can be anywhere and everywhere. So once I get connect to their frequency or their vibration, right? So like I tune like a walkie-talkie. If I want to reach them and I'm on the wrong frequency, they could be 10 feet away from me and it's never going to connect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm never going to hear them and they're never going to hear me, or just kind of like that, right? So I got to dial in and reach them. So it doesn't really matter where I am. I just have to tune it to hit that frequency. Or vice versa. If they're interested in doing it to me, it's like it's just, there is no missed pitch in that ball game. But for me, it takes a little bit of work. It takes a lot of work for me to get in that mindset and that zone and that comfort and that enjoyment and that happy heart and stuff. So what I
There's
suggest do,
there's a very much of a ritual aspect to all this. Very much.
yeah, yeah. Like I
So,
I vibe better when I'm near water. Like I just do. I don't know. People say, "Oh, you're an Aquarius." So well, maybe I grew up on an island. I don't know. Maybe that's why. I have no idea. Like, but water just comforts me. I don't know why. Like, it just does. Like everything about it. And yeah, well, I mean, you'll see it later. Like, I was in the pool one day. A few times this happened. I was in the pool in the backyard, and like they started to show themselves, and I'm like, damn. Like I must be like really in a good place. Like, and I think it's because I'm in water. Like I find my comfort when I'm in water or
mhm,
near it.
water, yes. Very much of an important element in this whole scenario, for sure.
Yeah.
This seems to be, or at least I have, from my encounter sightings and my best images that I've filmed, it was always close, near water.
Well,
Whether
I
it be
spoke to
streams, rivers, the lake area, whatever, it seems to, whenever there's bodies of water, that it seems to be a strong part of the equation if you guys want to have success and research.
yeah, I spoke to Doug Hychek one day, and he he speaks to a lot of people, and he did Monster Quest and a lot. He's done a lot of things, but anyway, he's spoken to a lot of people, and he said he's never heard of an encounter that took place 500 yards or feet, whatever he said, from water. It was always within 500 yards or 500 feet of water. I forget what he said exactly, but it was one or the other. And
That's interesting.
I started to think, and I was like, and I think I've had them further than that, but regardless, that's a lot of people to still report that they were that close to water. And I think it just boils down to, again, this is me and knowing that they're masters of energy, and that water is such a great conductor, and you know what I mean, and it holds its own energies. I just assume that they're just using that naturally. You know what I mean? It's just the best thing for them. But
Now, I just want to bring up one thing, though, because you know, I'm friends
please,
with
yeah,
I'm friends with MK Davis, and so we're in a. By the way, folks, you need to go back and watch the show we did yesterday. That's part 3, and pay attention to the series because you're going to learn a heck of a lot, and it's not going to be coming from me. It's going to come from MK Davis. But I'll tell you this one thing: when he was out there by Lovelock Cave and out there in the desert, he filmed something there too. So it's not always the case that water is a scenario in order to have
right, right,
some, and they found footprints out there and everything. And but it seems that there's a greater probability of success near bodies of water. So, in other words, I guess what I'm saying is these things are everywhere. And if you're in the right place at the right time, you're going to see something. You know what I mean? Because the desert, and one of the things that I notice, um, people pay a lot more attention maybe to orbs because they have nothing else to look at. We don't have trees like us, you know what I mean? They don't have the blockage, you don't have the mountains, that kind of, so maybe they pay more attention to the orbs. My point being is there's a lot going on everywhere in this realm. So, but
yeah.
I'm not challenging what you're saying. I'm just saying that,
Oh no, I don't. Yeah, it's all right.
I'm just saying that your
Yeah,
point is well taken, and it's something that I would argue until I'm blue in the face that you want to have a better chance of having interaction, images, encounters, etc., near bodies of water is like up there with
yeah.
trees
Well,
and water.
one of the things people always ask me what to gift, and I always say more personal the better. You know, like don't be that generic. Like it's fine, you could gift apples and peanut butter. Who cares? Like it seems like they like that, right? Like, but like I feel like the more personal the better. You know what I mean? Because then they get to know you. You're giving them an extension of who you are. You're
Mhm.
connecting on a deeper level. But anyway, that's another thing. But where I was going with this is if I do go somewhere that's not near bodies of water or any like water source, one of the things I gift is I bring a bucket and I bring a 5 gallon bucket and I bring 5 gallons of water and I bring that into the woods and I leave that for them. And sometimes I pour it in, sometimes I don't, whatever, things. But a lot of times I try to be like environmentally safe, so I'll dump them in and take the plastic with me.
You
So
show some respect to the area and to them. So that's a good idea.
yeah, like if I
I,
can't go
I
back
do.
and get the garbage soon after, yeah, like I'll do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I do too is that I'm different. I have a different approach than you do. You're out there in the woods constantly, right? But for me, maybe because of my health is a big issue. But outside of that, um, I pretty much stay at the edge of the woods at this point.
Hmm.
I do go in once in a while. I'm not. What do I do? The reason why I do that is because I spiritually and psychologically, it's like, okay, I know you guys are there. You guys know that I'm there. I know you got stuff going on in there. I'm not going into these woods. I'm not going to do what other people do, not because it's the right thing to do or not. It's just because I feel within myself that um, they give. They give regardless to me. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
share a lot of people in this and who listen to me like, listen, they came home to me. I don't have to go far. I could just go out my backyard, my front porch and film some
but do you
amazing
know
stuff.
do you know why that's so troublesome to people? Like you're one of the few people I hear say that. Like comfort with that. I don't have to go anywhere. They come here. I could just go in my back. But I hear
Well,
it everywhere, bro. Don't let them follow you home. Did they ever follow you home? Da 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 da. Yeah, I had people call me. Do you want me to help you get rid of them? I could come. What are you talking about? Like I'm not looking for them. Why would I want to get rid of them? Like what? Where's the logic here? And like,
well,
and for
here's the
me,
thing. From my experience, I've had the good, bad, and the ugly. So the ugly part is, I've had some
sure,
spiritual warfare and I've had very negative things happen. So, but
sure.
that taught me things and is making me much wiser in my approach to things.
See, my
Uh,
spiritual warfare wasn't with Sasquatch; it was with something else that kept coming here. But I mean,
no, no, yeah. Here's the thing. You're right, and the thing is, what there's things that come along with it, the things that are
yes,
attached to it, the things that, um, and,
mhm,
and so yeah, and I've also, I mean, having a conversation with Jared, as Sasquatch Confessionals made me realize that my first encounter with the Sasquatch probably saved my life.
yeah,
And he got 15 feet in front of my face, but was standing next to me was a Crow medicine man. I bring this up all the time because of the bizarre and yet unique experience that I had. And at the time, I didn't put the pieces together. And it took me actually 6 years to finally realize, almost 6, 5.5 years. Well, maybe that actually that Sasquatch that popped out, that from in that ravine and came crawling up to me was really because I didn't feel fear. That's the weird thing. You think there's something 15 feet in front of me that's that massive and that big and the dark would cause me to be like, oh my gosh, there's a Bigfoot. I got the no, I was more worried about the guy next to me.
I
Because
would be too.
I just met the guy like a half an hour before this incident, or yeah,
Mm,
and it's a very strange where this guy actually practiced dark medicine and dark arts and was involved in sacrificing humans and stuff, and he bragged about it after the fact. And it's a long story, but my point being in all this is that in this experience that I've had, there's a good, bad, and the ugly. And for me, if I rightly am tuned with the creator, right, um, there seems to be like this magical spiritual bubble that surrounds me. And so though they're there in my neighbor's yard and his trees and stuff, it's not
yeah,
they're not attacking me. They're not they did in 2017 until I figured what to do. But after that, there has not been any of this kind of coming into my house and attacking me, tormenting me, and that kind of stuff. And I don't feel it as torment filming these things, seeing these things at this point. And I know this is about you, and we're going to get back to you real fast, but I just want to say, because we're both researchers and both have experience, so I think we bounce
It's
back.
important. It's important. It's cool.
Yeah. And so the thing is that what I've realized is that you can't just label everything as Bigfoot, and you can't just label it as Sasquatch. There's so much else going on around them,
Yeah.
us, and the forest and the woods. And so and I think as researchers and people who are trying to pursue the truth and be honest, we have to talk about that. We have to be honest about that. There's multiple things going on here. And yeah, and so I I hear what you're saying. I hope you hear what I'm saying. I think we're really on the
Yeah.
same page. We just had different
100%.
experiences coming together and saying, okay, you know what? It's not Sasquatch is not a bad entity. He's not bad. I think it's actually a higher being. You said
Yeah.
interdimensional. I call them ultra
Yeah.
dimensional.
Yeah.
They're ultra dimensional. They can go in and out of different dimensions, and
Yeah.
they have
I,
things.
you know, I don't have names for anything or labels for anything. I just try to like put it in terms that I hear people use when I speak about it, like in these forums like this. But yeah, that sounds good to me. Multi-dimensions. So
Yeah, it makes more sense. It's not something that I coined. It was from what's his name? Keel. He's passed away now, but he's a famous researcher on the Mothman and UFOs,
uh,
and he's pretty much connected Sasquatch to it as well. I think that these things are much more. I mean, I have images. There's a guy that I got from. He's no longer on YouTube as usual. Anybody who tells the truth doesn't last long. Something comes out on the pipe that they get nailed for. But anyways, he's got a great image of a Bigfoot manifesting in the clouds. It's not a painting, and he's like casting out all these other spirits. And it's like this very symbolic message, a gift that was given to him that I don't think he realized at the time what he had, nor did I until later on. It's like symbolic to saying that Sasquatch is a higher being,
mm,
spiritually and interdimensionally, that has a lot more power and influence on lower beings and spirits. And these lower spirits, we call them elementals or whatever, but they come in different shapes and sizes. And that's what I've come to realize. And now, how to prove that to everyone else, I don't know how to do that.
right.
I can show the
Right.
images that demonstrate it, and you can see it for yourself. But it seems
Well,
to
you
me,
have 99% of the people they don't want to even hear the spiritual story or all that behind the photo. If it's anything other than, Patty, it's like, get it out of here. It's, would you film that with a potato or whatever oh, nice, my mother-in-law, like, like the
uh,
same five, the
well,
same five comments you hear everywhere.
I,
And
I think it's we all need to work together at this, and there's going to be times. And listen, when I first started this stuff, in my experience, I'll have to be honest, Mike. I thought they were demons. But today I don't think that. But at the
yeah,
time, and
I
I
hear
did
that.
videos, a whole bunch of videos about it too. That pissed off a lot of people saying they're demons. But now I'm just like, you know, I don't. You can't just. I think it's just like everything else in this
But
creation.
you were very tied into religion, right? Like,
Oh yeah, I was really
so, I mean,
into
that
the
makes sense
Christian.
because most people who are very strong in a religious faith, I find that they are the ones that come to me all the time and question if they are demonic or they have some ulterior motive or if they could be hiding something or have some kind of long game. And I don't know what there is to that. You know what I mean? I don't. But like Michael Harrow of Pork and Beans, he always speaks of a story that was in the Old Testament, I believe. Uh, of Ram. I want to say it was Ram. I, I'd rather him tell it to you.
Well,
You might enjoy.
I know the Bible. You're talking about Raphaim, or are you talking about Esau, or what are you talking?
Ram sent a Sasquatch to go get a mustard seed, and he couldn't remember what plant to get off the mountain, so they needed it to heal, and so they sent the Sasquatch because they're good healers and whatever. The Sasquatch forgot what plant it needed to get. He forgot about the mustard seed. So he was just like, oh, I'll just bring back the whole mountain, and picked up the whole mountain and carried it back. And like, it was a good thing that they sent him because he was able to carry the whole mountain back. Like, that was, I guess, the story. But I mean, I guess you could interpret it however you want.
Maybe
But
that's what we're talking about, the Samaritan text. That's where it might be more like it. But
probably,
but you know what? I got to do this again. And those who pay attention to me, I think I've proven the fact that the story of Esau and Jacob is literally the relationship with the Creator, the Father. Esau being Bigfoot, and his description, just the only thing that matches Esau is Bigfoot, and
Hmm.
Jacob, us, the plains, this hairless. Somehow, we kind of stole some of their birthright. But by the way, it's going to reverse based on the scripture. Whether it's true or not, that's another thing. But I think what they were trying to do is because they use allegory and stories with hidden deeper meanings in the scriptures, right? And once you get past all the religious stuff and you start, letting um, this spirit of God, and not talking about what everybody else says, the Christian bent on things. I'm talking about because God is a spirit. As every culture, it's just said, doesn't matter where, when, they have all come to the same conclusion that there is a creator spirit, Heavenly Father, the Lord of all spirits, that has its ultimate influence on all of us. Regardless of all that, the point is that what's in the scriptures is a lot of hidden deeper meanings, as it always is, because it's a form of the mystery schools, whether people want to hear this or not. Christianity, Judaism, the Abrahamic faith are just another form of the mystery schools. There's mysteries within it once you're willing to see through things. And the only way you can even see through things is through life experience. That's what I've learned. So my point in all this is that there is a profound story about our relationship with Sasquatch, and it is the story of Esau and Jacob. And I'll have to do it again, because when you hear it, you're gonna go, "Oh, yep, that Esau was a Bigfoot." And you're like, "Yeah, there was a time in history of mankind in which we were much more interactive. There were many more of the flesh and blood ones, or the ones that came from the other side that interacted. It wasn't just Native Americans; it was throughout the whole world.
Yeah.
They just,
I mean, yeah. I mean, when you look at like people talk, I don't know, like the past 2 years, like Dogman, 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 Dogman. Like, and everyone was speaking about it like it was a new thing. And I said, they've been calling this thing in Louisiana the Rougarou forever, and then like werewolves over across the pond, and in Egypt there was Anubis, and whatever this thing's powers were, they literally viewed Anubis as a god. You know what I mean? Like, that's how supernatural this thing was. Like, I mean, it's not something new. You get it. Like the States, we're just behind on everything. Like because our history is so damn hidden.
I like
You
that.
know what I mean?
I like that. Seeking for squash. Look what he said. I like that. I like that. Lord Ord and Master Lib. I like
Oh
that.
no, I
Okay?
sound like
Next time we do a show, that's how we're going to title it. I have to hope remember that. I like that. I just like this how it sounds. You know what I mean? It sounds cool.
those guys are funny. I like them. I like when they get together. They just clown around out there, have a good time. That's what it's all about.
Well, it's
They
a
they
combination
take
thing.
their search serious, but they have fun with it, and that's what it's so good. It's good. It's refreshing. I like them guys.
Yeah, that's definitely a great attitude to have. How do I get a hold of those dudes?
Sasquatch Seekers. That's
Seeking for
confessions. He goes
this
out with
no
Sasquatch confessions all the time.
seeking for Sasquatch.
Oh, Seeking Sasquatch. Oh, I'm not sure who that is, to be honest.
I don't either, man. But I looked at you up on YouTube. I
Sorry,
couldn't
I
find it.
apologize. I thought I didn't read it. I heard you say it.
Oh, look at that Iron Dogger. Look at that. Watch it. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, where we got lost. Let's look at some of your images here. Let's talk a little bit what's going on. Um, Esau was redhead and had hairy. Correct. He was more than that. He was hairy like a goat. Now, if you look at a goat, and I'll tell you a little bit about the story of Esau, then we'll get into your images. Okay. So what happened is that Jacob and his mama they tricked Papa Abraham and Esau from taking away his birthright. How they do that? They dressed up Jacob like Esau. Now, Esau was a great hunter, right? And Abraham loved him. and he would go out into the woods and the fields to find, game for his dad because he loved venison, right? And but but so what happened was Jacob, in a nutshell, what mommy said, listen, we're gonna dress you up. We're going to put goat skins all over your hands and your wrists and your neck and all that. So, because your dad's going blind now, so he can't see what's going on. So when he touches you, he's going to think that you're Esau. Well, the more you look into that and you really read through that, there's only one entity that's humanoid like, that is hairy like a goat. Now, I'm not talking like a lamb. It's not a lamb, it's a goat. And if you look at goat hair, it's extremely long and extremely hairy. And what else was I going to say? Oh, and you just can't come out of another conclusion just because there's no human beings that even look like that. So, anyways, now we'll get to this. You still with me, Mike, or did you drop off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Let's look at some of your images, buddy. So I hope you didn't mind that, and I hope you people don't take religion. Take out the religion part of that. Just forget about the religious part. Forget about Christianity. Don't let all that poison you. Listen to the deeper message about it. Because I could care less if you're a Christian or whatever you are. You can just be who you want to be. That's all I care about. And just let me be who I am. That's what I want. You know what I mean? Let's start with this image right here. What's going on here, man? Now I found this on one of your short videos.
I have no idea. I think you must have found that.
I did,
but you found it too. That looks like the unicorn in the backyard. That blow up unicorn that goes in the pool, and that's something I never noticed, to be honest with you. So hats off to you, because that's a giant. If I could show you how big that unicorn thing is, it's massive. It's like it's huge. Like all three of my kids could fit on the damn thing. Like it's huge. So whatever that thing is, that's a huge head.
Yeah, you can see it blatantly, can't you?
I mean, yeah, it looks like it's winking.
Like a big green man. And okay, I'm going to make sure we're on the same page. Is this his mouth?
Uh-huh.
His eyes?
Yeah.
And there's something going on here. It's a big spirit. And I just wondered why because you did a video, it was a short one on your YouTube channel. I saw it. I'm like, I wonder what he was seeing there. You were seeing something there. You were feeling something there that day.
It's quite possible. I've done over like 1,500 videos. So like people always ask me like, hey, what was going on in this one? I'm like, shit, I don't even know. You know, like I
can't even remember when you did it, huh?
Yeah, like it is what it is, you know, like sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't, but you know, that's one of the worst problems about having a brain injury too, is like my short-term memory is, I'm like 51st dates. Like I like wake up and I'm like, shit, like what happened yesterday? You know what I mean? Like,
well, and you're not alone with that, bro. Maybe it's not such a bad thing too, by the way, to have a short memory.
Sometimes it's not. You're right. Like, but sometimes it's like really hard, because it's like I don't drink or drug or nothing anymore. But like back when I used to drink like heavily, you know, I don't know if you've ever drank heavily, but when you wake up the next day, it's like, dude, you know, you did something. You did something, and you're like, you don't know what it was, and like you need to like find out from people who are around you, and then like it'll start to jog your memory a little, and like that's how some of my days are. And I'm like, and if there was nobody around, I just lose the day, you know, like it could be tough sometimes. But
well, let me tell you a little bit about you, because obviously you don't know much about me, but those who follow me know that I'm a they would call a recovering alcoholic, or I don't call myself an alcoholic. I was drunk for 3 years. I love Jack Daniels. Anyways, I was Mr. AA. I spent 6 years in AA, sponsoring guys. I did the steps all the way through 6 times. I hung out with some of the old hats in Ohio, old timers, and I have meetings that still exist. And until I found out I was in another cult, the cult's not drinking. So, anyways, then I had to walk away from that. I'm not saying if you guys ever need to use it, not to use it. I'm just saying, you know, it's just another one of those. It can become a religion, the religion of not drinking. So, and it can blind you once again from looking for greater truths. Saying that now, so when you talk about, and also I have MS, so I understand a lot about neurological problems because of my multiple sclerosis. So, yeah, I mean, I can relate to you, man. I understand.
Yeah, and
Sometimes I
anybody who
wonder.
wants you to live something verbatim like everybody else, like it's kind of sketchy, you know. So I'm not saying it's bad either, but too much of anything is not good. So
Yeah, thanks, Brondorf. Yeah, it's been 17, 18 years of sobriety. I left, I stopped comp. I just like, for me, I just like, don't dig it, I don't mind um, the green stuff once in a while. I did try that with my MS for a couple of years until, what happened for me, as you know, for me, my spirituality died when I started, doing the green stuff. And
well,
so when I stopped, and I'm not saying if you guys do it, and I think each every one of us is a little wired and a little different. But the moment I stopped doing it, man, my spiritual connection with the Creator and the things around me, and Sasquatch and Bigfoot, just boom once again. And I'm just like, well, for me, Michael Adams, it's probably not the path to take. Now, I don't, you know what I mean? I'm going to be more like one of the
yeah,
like the old shamans and the older guys. You know how they used to, there were certain times and rituals and when they did partake of this stuff, but most of the time they didn't do it. And then there was great wisdom in what they were doing. So I think, and so that's how I'm going to approach it. So, but I don't judge anybody because it's total waste of time to judge anybody because, man, Mike, your walk's your walk. I haven't, and it was, there's not a choice in the matter. I do believe in predeterminism. I do think we have a small degree of free will and free choices, or some choices in life. But man, you were not chosen to be, you did not choose to be born in Long Island and have to go through all the things you've gone through. Now, people will say that, but if you look through all the stuff, would I have chosen to be in that war and have that brain damage if I really knew what was going on? Nope, you wouldn't have done it. I know you wouldn't have done it. You would have, none of us would have done what we've done if we knew better. We have a path that's been laid out for us from the get go. And there's no point in judging each other because there's like, everyone's where they're at for a reason. You know what I mean? And we like to think that we're so much clever and we're a lot smarter than we are. I don't think so. I think most of us walk around in a big cloud to begin with, and it's like little nuggets of truth that are revealed to us as time goes on that we share with each other. But most of the time, we're just like, all of us are shooting in the dark about so many different things. Let's go back to Bigfoot. That's another one, shooting in the dark. And, so here you got an image here of yours. What's going on here, man? What will you experience? What you're seeing? What you're feeling? Now,
this is like, I would categorize this as like everybody's favorite. I at the time had a old cell phone. I was still on Facebook. I wasn't on YouTube yet. This was in the beginning of my journey. For the first year, I did Facebook live streams. Every time I went out, I did a live stream. Interactive. Hey guys, what do you see? If somebody saw something, stop, do it, check it out, whatever.
sure.
This is down the line towards the end of that year. I started getting comfortable in what I was doing and, pointing at things and saying, I see something. So this was a place where I went in and it was not a big location at all. There was houses around the outskirts. This was actually up against a nursery, flower nursery and stuff. Nobody was in it at the time, but that's what was behind this. And this big like flower and garden nursery. And I saw something. I got to the highest point on this hill, which probably only like 10 foot high. But I saw like what looked like a large male skirt back there. And I think this is a female. Anyway, so I went in looking further, and sure as shit, I turned and looked, and she was back there, and she was manifesting kind of in and out of physical, but or maybe she was doing something. I don't know exactly what, but she was very physical to me. But when I look at the footage, it looks like she was like phasing in and out a little bit.
Of course.
It could have been the live stream. It could have been the camera. I don't know. exactly. I can just tell you. For me, she was all physical, to the point where I got down. I got down on my, like, on both knees basically. I had one toe, like, on one foot. My toes were dug in though, like, so I was on my knees, but one foot was dug in because in case I had to push off and run. Um,
Uh-huh.
like it was just like a precaution, I guess. There was nothing threatening about it, but
Right.
everybody started to see it right away. Ding, ding, ding. The phones, ding, ding. You can hear in the live stream, ding, 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 because people are sending screenshots. Oh my God. People aren't just commenting in the chat. They're,
Well, that's pretty cool,
and
man.
then, and my wife is commenting, and like, I'm like, oh my God, like, it's just coming in like crazy. And you can hear me like talking to them and on the chat. And it was a really, really cool experience because uh, it was something that like nobody could take away from us. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a
we
shared
all we
experience.
all
Yeah.
were there together, and it happened live. You know what I mean? Like, and that's like one of the best things about doing that way is like,
When did this exactly
this is
happen?
actually the video I was talking. When?
Yeah. And what year, what month, what time, that kind of thing? Do you remember? Generally, if you can't remember.
It's bad that I don't. It was thick. The brush and stuff was thick, so it's probably like spring. I would say
Or spring.
spring
Spring? Okay.
2019.
Cool.
Yeah, this is actually the video that Paranormal caught on camera. Just well, they took it from me like a year ago. I did an interview with them like almost a year ago, probably. So I don't know where they haven't put it up yet. So I don't know. It's in the lineup somewhere. It should be out at some point.
Okay. So you had this experience with like other people watching it, which is not a very common occurrence, let's be honest. And there's a lot of guys out there
It's
they're
not.
doing the same thing that you're doing. Although you're it's apparently one of the first guys that actually thought about the whole idea of just going. I know Mark did from Bigfoot, Colorado Bigfoot. He did a little bit, but you're like going live. You're one of the first guys to go live. You have this experience. It's a group experience, was very interesting in its own right because there's not too many of them where you go live where somebody actually films something, an entity, a being, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, while people are watching.
Yeah.
So, and I can only imagine how distracting it must have been too. I kind of, it's like one of the things I don't know if I can handle it with all that kind of pressure and trying to answer, people's
Yeah,
comments while
my
focusing on a Bigfoot in front of my face. I think I'd be like,
it
well,
was such a
I probably
rookie
would turn off
move.
the phone, be honest with you.
Yeah, well, it was such a rookie move that my volume was on. And I had, right before I had got there, I the reason I got there was because I was going to my barber and he wasn't answering. So I couldn't call him and say, "Hey, are you busy?" And when I passed by, it was busy. So when I got there and I was in the middle of it, he started calling me back like nonstop. You literally hear me in the video, like, no, like, I'm like, because I'm trying to hang up on him and like keep the video going. And like, it was, as much as, yeah, I wanted to turn it off and like experience it for myself. That at that point in time, I didn't. At the same time, I felt comfort at that stage. I felt comfort having, even though they weren't physically there, I felt like people were there. You know what I mean? Like they were with
Sure.
me. Like I felt more comfortable that I had people with me, and
So you're not so alone.
that
Yeah.
became
This
like a
is a unique
safety net for me. Those people who used to be there were so instrumental in me finding my comfort, and I don't forget it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those unique experiences because, like, for me, a lot of my experience were not shared with anybody. And if they were shared with somebody,
Mhm.
they didn't turn into as much positive as I would like to have been. So you to have this kind of opportunity is a unique one. It really is. It probably will increase with time as more people do what you're doing. I can see that happening, obviously. Um, um, and obviously you're making an influence on people doing that because I'm hearing that from them. Um,
Well, Kyle from Encrypted Connections does he does live streams in the field uh, on Saturday and Sundays.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah,
Encrypted connected. It's connection or
Encrypt,
connect.
encrypted connections.
Oh, encrypted connections. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. So but back to this experience. That's what you. It's a lot of times watching a guy, walk around and talk, and you just see, you might catch something, but you actually saw this while
yeah,
live. You
yeah.
witnessed it. Okay, so I do want to talk a little bit about sensations and feelings beyond. Okay, so I know that you had people there that kind of comforted you. What did you sense around you? What were the senses? How were your senses? I mean, it's how do I say this? Because I know a lot of times when encounters happen, or you're in an area where a sighting, there's like the atmosphere changes, the ether changes, it becomes much thicker, much more denser.
Yeah.
There's your height, your senses are heightened before you or during the time of the encounter, the sighting, or and thereafter. So tell us more about. I know we got the point where you felt the comfort for people being around you, but what did you feel from this being that you believe is Bigfoot?
It
That
was
makes
it was
sense.
very humbling. I mean, it was very humbling. It was just she was probably within a human size height, like 6.5 foot, 7 foot maybe. I remember I remember like originally thinking though how huge she like I said I was like, he is huge, he is huge. Because he was massive, but like, or she was massive, but it's just like in that moment, it was just so humbling to the point where, like, and I felt like I think I felt like so small to an extent that I like almost like like in like Lord of the Rings or something, like when they come across a king and like they just immediately just get down. Like that's what I did. I just got down and was like almost submissive, like okay, like you got this, like I'm not a threat, like and once I saw that what there was no threat really,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just enjoyed it, embraced it. I just really had a happy moment, which I don't have much as adults, right? But as far as my surroundings and like different something changing, I'd love to say I remember that, but I don't. I don't think I even looked around at all. Usually, I'm like head on a swivel. I'm like taking in everything, looking around me, and uh, especially back then, I was like very like scatterbrained. Um, I was distracted very easily by things. I don't think that I think I was just fixated on what was going on. I'd love to tell you more memory about it, but
How long do you think it was?
I don't remember honestly. I think it was probably a good minute though, at least.
And how far
I
was
probably backed off. I probably backed off because that's like my MO is like after a little while I back off. I don't stay in anything.
yeah.
I don't stay on anything too long. Like I try to give them their respect, like especially because we're like got a camera out and like I always find that like if I give them the respect and I just kind of like address that they're there and then move on, like they continue to show themselves. I don't get too pushy. I don't try to get too close. I don't try to. If they come in close, then I'm like I'm different. Now I'm different. If they come in close, then I really interact because that's what I'm there for. That's what I want to do at this point.
Right.
But if they're at a distance, I don't try to close that gap. You know what I mean? Or if I do, I do a little by little and see how it goes. But I don't, I don't ever like people like, oh, run to it. Are you nuts? I, I wouldn't run towards a person, let alone something that's triple the size of a person. Like
Sure. That would not be too wise, would it? Do you have any idea guesstimate how far this entity was from you when you filmed it?
yeah, yeah, like 40 feet, 50 feet maybe.
So
Wasn't
that
far at
would
all.
be, we're talking less than, we're talking like 10,
20
15
yards
yards.
tops.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably like 20 yards
It
tops.
was pretty close then. It really was pretty close. Were
Yeah.
you on a trail or Were you on a?
No, this was just like a patch of woods at the edge of suburbia. There was literally a highway, like
And edge of suburbia.
probably a couple hundred yards in one way. You know, like yeah, it's kind of like a corner lot, like, but it was very like jungle-esque. This place, it always had an appeal to me when I would pass by it, and it just drew me in. It just always drew me. It has like these big hanging vines and all these huge like leaners and like giant, I don't know. There was all these different types of like jungly like plants and trees that didn't really belong. And I was like, man, that is something else. So I always enjoyed going in there for some reason. I
Yeah.
guess that was it, you know.
Well, listen. By the way, what you're describing happens a lot more than people uh, talk about for some reason, and that is in kind of like groves or patches of woods in suburbia. I mean, people would think, well, gee, it has to be acres and acres, hundreds and thousands of acres in order to have an encounter or a sighting. Well, no, I know firsthand that you can, on the number of, you can be
You
very,
know,
very, very close to someone's home, building. If the right ingredients are there, it can happen anywhere.
well, people always say, why did that Sasquatch? Why would a Sasquatch cross the road? Why would it be near someone's house? Why would it be near that building? that that's not how it worked. It all that stuff, like a deer doesn't get hit because a deer crossed the road. The road crossed the deer's. The road came second. That road crossed the forest. That building crossed their territory. Everything we did was second to what nature is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so, like, I had to start to learn that reverse thought process because I was letting people pollute my brain with, well, they can't be that close to people, they can't be that close to this, they can't, why would they be there, there's not enough woods, there's not. I really had to just step outside of what everybody was talking about, and because nobody at the time was talking about suburban Sasquatch, not that I could find.
I was since 2017, but no one
Yeah,
listening.
right. It's like I felt like I was, for lack of better words, I felt like I was on an island,
Yeah, I
like.
understand completely. I mean, after like it was like
So,
the 2017 and well 2018, I just gave up on the community because no one was listening to me, and everyone there was full of crap. And I'm like,
yeah,
well, okay,
right,
but
right.
now look, listen, I don't care because I don't need the credit. If you get the credit or someone else gets the credit, as long as the truth comes out, I don't care because that's the only thing
I
I care
I
about. I don't
just
care about
yeah.
popularity or anything that kind of stuff. But I was talking about this stuff of suburban Sasquatch and urban Sasquatch because I've had my encounters
Yep,
in my town.
yep. Well,
One
that's
in
the
my
beauty.
backyard, and one in a cemetery, a Catholic cemetery next to a Crow medicine man. And so you can't tell me that can't happen in somebody's town because I know it can because it happened to me, and I've had
Yep.
sightings. And the funny thing is too. That's why I think that this image and what you had was special, is because the number of times I filmed something in the woods or on the edge of the woods, and I never saw it. And there's other times I saw things but couldn't film it. Have you had that experience? I bet you have.
Sorry, I accidentally clicked out on accident. What was
So
the last part?
I say once again, the thing is, because it's important that people realize this. I have had numerous times where I've filmed entities which I never saw, and at other times I've had sightings
Yes.
and encounters which
Yep.
I never either had the camera or couldn't film it. So I'm
I
asking
call it
you,
I call it yeah. I call it bad translation. Um, that's just what I call it. I used to say all the time, I hope this translates to camera. I hope this translates to video. Uh, because I would see something and like I'd film it, and sometimes I would get back and it wouldn't be there or it wouldn't be the same. Nowhere near what I saw in person.
right?
Or sometimes we'd be seeing something and people would be like, it's there, that were on the video. And, when I was streaming, so that's how I learned that, was people were saying right there, right there. And I'm like, I am looking right there, right there. And then I would I would literally go like this over the camera and then look at the screen and then and it would be there and I wouldn't see it with my eyes. And then I started to realize that, that's that one of those just big old question marks. I know they could toy with our technology and manipulate a lot of different things, but
Yeah.
I don't want to act like I have all the answers, because I sure as hell don't.
Well, I wonder sometimes if we're dealing with the trickster spirit element to all this
Could be,
stuff,
yeah.
where because I do believe they know our intentions, they know what we're going to do, they even know where we're going to go, and I do believe that they show themselves when they want to show themselves, and I think that they have, because like you can't say always that every time you take a picture there's going to be an entity, right? Just like you can't say always every time we go out in the woods, they're going to see something. But it seems to be such a mixed bag.
They have
The
they
better
have a
one.
way of they have a way of showing me like where to go. A lot of times, like
Yes.
they'll show me like a visual of where to go, right?
Yeah.
Like every time I didn't go to that place and I would go somewhere else, nothing.
I know it. I know
Nothing.
it. I know.
It's like they're telling you where to go, and I'd be like, no, I want to go here. No, I want to do this today. Like, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike. Go. You're gonna get nothing. So like I started to learn, like, all right, if they do give me that little glimpse, and that's what I want, if that's really what I want to do today, is interact with the Sasquatch or see the Sasquatch, I better damn well go to that spot.
Yeah, excuse me, guys. So yeah, and I have like last fall, I have very interesting, it was in October. I think it might be the last weekend of October. And I went, or was no, maybe it's the first week of November. Anyways, it was around that time period. And I drove like 15 miles over to Maumee State Park to do some field research on my own, right? And I got there right to the edge of the woods. And all the way there was just saying, go back home, go back home. You go back home. You need to turn around, go back home. So eventually I listened to that still small voice that people talk about, right? Whatever that still small voice was, I think the spirits were interacting with me, because a couple hours later, then I went back into my town and I found a really cool teepee structure in my town, just 350 yards from where I'm sitting right now, where I filmed a really awesome image of it's like a cross between a dogman and a Bigfoot, maybe what we call Ohio grassman, or I don't think it's like the Michigan version of Bigfoot. And I have images of that. But anyways, and then I had a sighting the next day. And I also had a tree knock that weekend, and I also had a giant tree break that I recorded. And so my point being this is that yes, I do believe 100% that if you let them, they will guide you into having these encounters. But you got to listen, and you got to learn how to listen. And it's easy to said, it's easier said than done. But I'm learning that as part of the process.
Yes.
For me, I'm learning that what that process is. And so,
Sure.
yeah, it's not about fear. It's not about worrying about running into something terrible. It's about we're in the wrong direction. And I honestly think, like for me, I can only speak for myself, that we're dealing with like familiar spirits, generational spirits, localized spirits, regional spirits. So, and I am dealing with these spirits. And when I listen to these spirits, I have much more success, and I don't have to go very far. Usually I don't have to go far at all. Like, I'm not making this up. I just go out my front porch and film in my neighbor's yard, and I film stuff in the trees and around the trees. And
It's
then it's
amazing,
like,
right?
but yeah, and it's like, why is that? Why am I having that experience? Why are other people having that experience? And you have to learn to become comfortable with it too. And I think for me personally, having a relationship with the Creator God, and whatever that means, basically is recognizing them, giving some praise and asking how it's doing and that kind of stuff. And that somehow that creates that protective bubble that each and every one of us deserves. One of the things I want to tell you, Mike, is that I don't know if you knew this, but you're a child of the light, and everyone else here is a child of the light. And what do I mean by that? That means that none of us can operate in the darkness on our own. We are the children of the light.
Right.
Doesn't matter what your
Hmm.
religion is. You are a children of light. You were built that way. You are that. And I honestly believe that we are dealing with much more. If we allow it to happen, the mystery of all this is so much bigger than what the Bigfoot community or the UFO community or the paranormal community is letting on. I don't think, because, I think it takes time to realize this. I mean, we started in this journey, either try to disprove Bigfoot or UFO or try to prove it, right? And we had this kind of materialistic, scientific approach. At least that's how we assume ourselves to be. And it's only through time that you realize, oh my gosh, there's so much more going on here. And it's like a very Fortean journey. It's very much anomalous and paranormal, yet uh, ultra dimensional, yet physical. And so until you're willing to accept that there's a big picture going on, you're going to
Yeah.
miss 90% of what's going on. You
Sure.
really are. And
Yeah,
you know
you're
what?
right.
I think the more you're honest about the situation, the more they reward you with that. They say, "Hey, all right, you don't have
That's
an
a good
issue
way to
with
put
the
it.
fact that they're little people. You don't have an issue that there's some that look like gargoyles. You don't have an issue that I just come to a point and say, you know what? It is just part of the creation. That's all it is. To me, I'm getting to the point that, and I don't want to sound disrespectful to Sasquatch or higher spirits or to you guys or nobody else. I'm just
Well,
saying that it's just as common to me as the squirrel running across the yard or a raccoon cross. And then you say, why is that? It's just because I just have been pushed into this situation, pretty much, and I've been, there's no way to escape it except embrace it.
yeah,
You
there's a
can't.
lot of people who are like
It's
nervous.
contradictory.
Like there's a lot of people who are so hung up on that like answer thing and like getting like answers and proving and doing this and doing that. Like I learned that like best thing I do is I go out and say like, hey, I don't know anything about anything. I'm the student today. Like I'm the student of the forest, of the woods, whatever. I'm here to learn. I have humility. Like I don't like like I don't have humility to the point where like if you pass something through me, I will say it. Like I don't care. Like I learned to just accept what is and what comes through and just be a student. Like that's the best way to put it is just be a student and they will reward you. That's the best way you could put it really is they reward you with more and more and more, you know?
Yeah, I think so, and I think you have to. I don't know. It's like there are religious background and our social background. We kind of through movies and television and indoctrination, we have been told that these things are all evil and are terrible,
Yeah.
and at times they are very frightening. And I know that there are evil spirits and there are good spirits, and I'm sure there's from my experience there are. Rogue or evil Bigfoot, and there are good ones too. I think it's just like how this creation is. There's night and day, darkness and light, good and evil. It's this how this place is very dualistic, and so you can't just put anything or anybody in a box. You can't do it. If
Uh,
you do it, you're going to miss out on so many other things. So it's one of those things that the more you just learn to accept what is, the more it's going to be revealed to you, and you have to learn to accept that. And it's when you first, it's the cognitive dissonance, and it's like for a long time I was just like shell shocked in my life. You know what I mean? I don't know how you felt about that when you first realized this stuff. Will you like go through that period, that phase of like, what the hell did I just walk into?
yeah, it was like 48 hours of that of
Only 48 hours, man. You're better
well,
than
I
me.
mean,
It's like more like
it was
48
more, but
months for me.
well, it was extensive, but it was 48 hours of like vegetable status. Like I was literally just like I can't like I was probably just sitting around with my mouth open, like like a garage door. Like it just like, and then like I say this a lot, but when you have that experience where you bump into them that close, because mine was close too. It's like I think that's the
True.
point where people say, "I'm never going out there ever, ever again." or they say, I gotta figure this out more. I need to I need to know what's going on out there. And for me, I made that decision to. I was actually somewhat happy and relieved to have purpose again. Like when I started to find out I had purpose again, like because I, when you're in combat and stuff, like it's like not that like I wanted to be like called or viewed as a hero or whatever, but like you feel very like you feel like you have purpose and like you're doing things and like everybody's like very proud of you and like everybody like checks on you and like and when you get back it's like you're back and you're safe and like that's it and everyone forgot about it, but you're left with all this crap and all these things and like nothing's the same back where you are now. Everybody's still in the same place, but you've changed 150 different ways and not necessarily for the better. Like you've whatever. So like all this disassociation was happening with me and society, and I was having all these inner struggles and whatever. And like when I found the Sasquatch, it was like I had finally healed quite a bit, but not fully. I still needed that was very something that helped me with quite a bit, but I had finally had like that sobriety point where I was cleaned up and like clear minded, and I was at a blank slate basically, like, and I think that was their time to slide in and really like save me to an extent. I really didn't know what I was gonna do. I felt very hopeless. Like I'm the type of guy that'll start like a million hobbies and never finish them. Like this is probably one of the only things I've ever seen out, this far or this long in my whole life. Like, but it's not like, yeah, it's not like a hobby for me though. You know what I mean? Like for some people, it's a weekend thing. They go, I don't even like the word hunting, but people say I go, Bigfoot hunting, like, and that's what they do. That's their thing. They come out, they go out with a bunch of equipment, and they whatever.
Right. Now, listen, before we get going to this picture, and I hear what you're saying, Cryptid PTSD was actually, there is a YouTube channel. There's a guy, and 2017, in February 2017, was the very first guy that I ever interviewed about Bigfoot. So, he's not doing much.
Interesting,
so this picture right here, bro, what's going on? And when, how, and where? I mean, I see what I see, but do I see?
So in the bottom right corner, I cropped out my son when I sent it to you. He's he's down there. No, there he is. So anyway, we were in the pool swimming, and I'm looking at him because he's right there, and I look up and I see there's two there, but I saw the black one. I didn't see the brown one on the left of the tree. And I saw that black one, and I decided to try and get my camera phone, which was playing music like on the deck. And I grabbed it and I took it and I kind of turned my back to them and did selfie mode. And I looked at the screen and I could see it was still kind of there. So I took a couple of pictures, and that's what you're looking at there.
Yeah, I mean, are we? What do you think they are? The Sasquatch, Bigfoot, elemental spirits? What do you think they are?
Yeah, the Sasquatch definitely on the right. The left, I couldn't tell you what the hell that thing is.
So this dude right here?
Probably is. Yep, yeah. That's the one I saw, yeah. He's like half faced there. He's like half his face is meshed into that tree.
Well, I see like several entities myself, but I definitely can see this dude. I've filmed something.
Oh, for sure, that. Yeah.
And then there's a guy.
Oh yeah, I could argue a whole bunch, but yeah, that one
too. There's one top, and there's like they're doing this blobbing totem thing going on, huh?
I call it yeah. I call them portal parties sometimes. Sometimes I call them being balls.
Yeah, it's good
when they all bunch together. I got names for everything that don't like you said, it's totem. Some people say totem, but when they're not in a stack, it doesn't really fit the bill,
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder if I could get Mark on the show and talk to him. That'd be interesting. I know he doesn't like doing interviews, but known him since 2017, 2016. So I used to do paintings of his entities, and stop doing it. His spirits and his Bigfoot. What's going on here, man? This is look like a little party going on here.
I don't have.
Who's
Yeah,
who
I
are
couldn't
these
even
people?
tell you what's going on here.
It sure looks
So that thing looks like an elephant to me, right in the middle of the screen,
right
sitting
here.
sideways. But really, it was a big black portal that appeared. So I don't know. I don't know why it looks like an elephant on the picture. But there was a Sasquatch. The reason I originally started taking pictures was because of the Sasquatch looking over the fence. Down, if you go down a little bit,
Is this the elephant? Remember Christian's phone?
that's like the top of its head. It's like black, the elephant.
Is
Like it
this
looks like it's
strong?
looking sideways.
And look at it's got bet. It's got.
I,
Hey, listen, I strongly believe a lot of uh the
it's just what I see. Anybody, I don't.
I filmed a ram with amazing horns, and it's blatant as all get out. So you're not the first one to do something like this. And I would say that I am in the impression. Oh, there's he is. Look at that.
If you look at the guy on top of the fence, you'll see he's got he's got the conical head, like right above those bars right there.
Right here.
To the left of your cursor a little bit.
Right here.
Little left more.
Here.
Yep, right there.
Okay, I saw that guy earlier too. I'm totally convinced a lot of that we're dealing with several different things hanging out at the same time, interdimensional things, spiritual things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's ever alone. It's like we hone in on Sasquatch because it's something we know about, but what about the other thousands and thousands of things that are probably right there with them? You know, we categorize elementals. Like, how many are there? There's so many categorized, and then how many are there that aren't? You know what I mean?
Oh, I think for
That's right.
everyone that I think the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Dogmen are just one of billions of other entities out there.
So many. I don't knock anybody. People are like, oh, like how'd you see a cat person, or how'd you see? Look, I've seen something that was not a dog man. It was the thing was fox man. It was not a. It wasn't a dog man. This thing was fox with a bipedal fox. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't put a. I would say he was a fox man. He was not no dog man. And you know, some people probably laugh at that.
Yeah, well, they can laugh all they want.
I could care less at this point.
Once you realize there's more going on than meets the eye, you're just like, well, you just don't have eyes yet to see. I just got this impression that there's a couple like ancient prehistoric type of like elephant type creatures along with it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised, or it's just stacking up again. But there's something going on right here. I mean, you just see the number of entities in here. It's like a giant. That's one of the things I strongly believe. A lot of times we end up filming like these big blobs. It's okay. We talk about portals. We talk about O.R.Ds. But I also think there's like this moments in time where we capture an image of where there's just like a big just blob. It's like mass. Think. I always think of like worms or like all together, or snakes, or grubs all together, right? Rolling around each other, right? And that's what I'm seeing a lot of times is these things that like they're like in and out and mingling with each other, coming and going. And there's like, it's something that we don't quite understand, but I think that they're part of the ether, or part of this whole system. There's a purpose for it. I just don't know what it is, why they do it, but it's happening. So, I mean, there's no point in saying it's not happening when we're filming it, we're recognizing it. But just, the first step to even coming to any kind of resolution or understanding is accept it, right?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, so many people are so quickly like they dismiss it because like you're either in the know or it's pareidolia, right? Like it's kind of like there is and then like there's those people who are in between, and like it's like you hope like if they're people with like they have promise for a great journey, you hope that they don't just fall into that pareidolia wagon where like it's just so dumbed down. Like it's a word that people don't even really know what it means most of the time. It's just a very lazy. It's such a lazy response. Like, oh, that's pareidolia. Like,
well, my take on this whole thing is just like the government and the CIA that created the conspiracy theories. back in the
Mhm.
60s to dismiss people's questioning about what happened to JFK. Also, when it comes to pareidolia, it's
Mhm.
the same thing. Now, people think that if the government's not involved in all this misinformation and disinformation, you're so wrong when it comes to this stuff. They don't want you and I to figure out what's really going on here. They really don't. They're going out of the way. One of the things they implanted in everybody's heads, because they know how lazy we are, we all are, by the way,
It's true.
is that if
True.
you throw out something that's like pareidolia, that's immediate, it's just like CGI, right? Everything's CGI and everything's pareidolia, and people just barf it out because that's what we do.
I
And
mean,
until we educate
do
ourselves,
you remember in school when they told every last one of us that you only use 12% of your brain? They literally tell us to our face, and we are just like, okay, cool. What's next? Like, you know what I mean?
I know, feed me the next thing, on that plastic platter of plastic spoons with all the toxic chemicals in it and everything else. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, thanks for nothing, buddy. But I think
I mean,
that's, if you look,
how did I and others accept that as a response? Like, why weren't we like, okay, well, how do we figure out to use the other percentage? Like, okay, cool. That's acceptable.
it's propaganda and it's indoctrination, and it takes a lifetime to break through. I always tell people my first 20 years were survival mode. The next 20 years was dealing with and recovering from the first 20 years. It's only now that I'm actually open up enough to actually see some real truth. Where I thought the whole time of my life
Yeah,
I was operating in truth, but actually I was operating a whole bunch of lies that somebody else told me. And by the way, they
yeah,
did it with good intent. They believed the lies
sure,
themselves, and only through,
sure.
it's through challenging the
Well,
official
when you look
narratives.
back, you don't realize the roles that you played were so, so manipulated by something, so, somebody so much higher, and like, it's just a trickle effect of like of a grand puppeteer. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Oh yeah,
it's screwed up, but
absolutely.
it is what it is. Like that, like the people who teach you the things, like they, like you said, they're not coming from a bad place. They have no idea what's going on. They think that's the curriculum, or
Yeah, they've been brainwashed to believe
your
in
parents
Nazi
teach
stuff.
you stuff, like they don't know, like, or they put you in front of a TV screen. They don't know
Absolutely, I hate the I mean, I
nobody
have
knows.
absolute disdain for the television, and I haven't watched that in, well, it's going on. Let's see, 13 years. Is it? No, 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 no. I had to
Like,
watch a little bit when my son's mother was pregnant, but since my son was born, since he was basically 6 months old, so that would make 11 years I haven't watched television. Before that, I didn't watch television for a long time either because I was a musician and an artist. I was, but
I
this time
do
around,
plan
I
on,
was like, you
I
know
do plan
what?
on.
I've been lied to my whole damn life about everything on that damn box. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what it says. I don't care if there's a nuclear war coming tomorrow. I don't care if the world's going to end tomorrow. I am not listening to it because I it's nothing but lies, and I truly mean that. By the
It's
way,
true.
this now leads back to Bigfoot research, and you look at all the big shots on television and how many of them are just paid actors. They really are that. They might have started out as researchers, but when you sign that contract, you got to go along with the program. If you don't, there's no paycheck.
Right.
You
That's
know what I
why,
mean?
yes, you can't, if you don't, yeah, you got to know that before you sign it, because I would never, just because of that. I know where it goes. I have a friend who did it, and he got out. He could have kept going with TV, but he found out how it was, and he was like, no, nope. If they miss something, they want you to reenact it, or like whatever. It was all based on facades, and
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
it was it,
It's they call it acting for a reason, and they call it entertainment for a reason. It's all about capturing one's mind. Now, here's a fascinating thing. Once I started paying attention more to what's all around me, it's much more interesting, far more interesting than anything that a television or most people are even telling us. And I feel like it's part of our, you talked about being an ambassador to Bigfoot. I think we're an ambassador to the creator, and we're in the creation, and we're part of that one of many voices, like a thousand cuts on this big blob of deception and lies, that the darkness that covers us. And we're going to open up the windows again of truth, And part of it is the story of Sasquatch and Bigfoot and the people, the forest people, what's in the trees, what's around the trees, what's in the ground, what's in the air, what's around us. And you know what? We're going to be, it will take a long time because there's a lot of forces going against us, um, spiritually and physically, human beings. They don't want us to know the truth, but the truth is going to come out. And we're all
Mhm.
part of that. The truth is going to come out. That's part of our mission. I strongly believe
Yeah.
our job is to speak the truth. Now,
Do you know what my goal is every day? I mean, besides being a father, what and all that stuff. Like, I mean, in the as far as my Bigfoot goal, like my goal as far as like in the Bigfoot community, if I can make a difference or help one person each day, even one person, I consider that a success. I try to do that every day. I try to be there for one person. If I get to more, great, but whatever. Like that's my goal. If I gotta go out of my way to just check in with guys because nobody's coming to me, I'll just say, "Hey, how's it going?" Da 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 da. But that's my goal every day, and that's great to me. Like if I can just help one person, I'm happy. Like because that's a trickle effect, and that's what I mean. Like
what is that? What's that comment about, Garrett? I guess I wasn't good enough for a new sweater. Or I don't know what you're talking about. You know I love you, bro. You're one of my bros. Um, let's talk about the
makes one of us.
let's make let's talk about this. What the heck are we looking at here? By the way, I've seen this before, and I'm pretty confident I know what I'm looking at. But you tell me what we're looking at here.
That's I mean, it's a portal is what I was looking at. Interesting enough, when I took the picture, it somehow it ended up being like a perfect circle of light. I tried to send you a zoomed in picture too, because if you know what you're looking at, you could see kind of like arms and things coming through and different beings.
Is it,
I see what looks like insectoids or whatever they're called, things to that effect. Um, but yeah, it was very bright. It was really cool. It was really cool.
so were you looking at a portal?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Now, when
yeah. I didn't
you
see anything come through or go in. You know what I mean? But it looked like that's what was going on for sure. Um, I didn't see anything go or come though. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I just could see the portal itself. I didn't see anything like coming in or out.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. When I saw the portal that I saw back in June of last year, 2022, I remember it was a Tuesday and it was around 1 a.m. p.m. Eastern time. And I was on my front porch and I looked to the direct north where I've been seeing a lot and filming a lot of things. And a portal opened up and it was a circle. And you could see the rim around it, the edge around it, right? And three entities in the shape of a triangle, one at the top and two in the bottoms, appeared in it. And I'm watching this in shock. Well, first of all, it took me, be honest with you, it took me about a minute or two. For some reason, it took me that long to register what the hell I was looking at. Right? I was, which is strange because I've seen a lot of strange things since before then. But I was looking at it and I'm like, what the hell am I? Is that? I kept on asking,
There's no,
is that a portal opening up? What the hell?
yeah,
So
there's no manual to this stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
no, there isn't. And so, but by the time as usual, by the time I was like, okay, well, I'm going to run into my house and get a camera and try to take a picture, it dissipated right by the time I got back on the porch to try to take the picture, which is back to this, don't tell me these things don't know what we're doing. I know they know what we're doing. Why didn't they reveal that to me? I think they wanted to tell me that that's a particular area of my neighbor's front yard with these big, giant 80-year-old, 100-year-old silver maples. There's a very active site, and they don't seem to care to let me know about it. Or maybe because I opened up myself, that they decided just to open themselves up more. But whatever happened is, or whatever the reasons are, I mean, I'm getting things revealed to, and it's like I'm not even searching for this stuff. And most times when it happens, I'm just living my life, and sure enough, there it happens. And I'm telling you, this orb situation or this portal thing is real. Because I saw it myself. I can't say what everybody else's opinion
Yeah, I
is.
saw. I seen once. I was at this spot where I call this a talking tribe because that's just where it is, like a Native American area where I go. And I seen. I came from this side that I was looking back at, but it came down through this like little valley, like this like lull, and then it came back up the other side. It's like almost like a bowl, like a big giant cereal bowl, if you will.
Tell us more.
And I looked back to the other side, and there was this huge, like, yeah, it was a Sasquatch. I mean, it was this huge dark figure, but that was all I saw. And it came streaking across the ridge. And when it went, it just, like, it was like this far from me, like, as I'm looking, this is how far it was. But, like, it really, in person, it was like, so it, you remember when you used to turn your TV off back in the day, and it would like do that like slit thing at the end, almost like the picture would like implode on itself and like do that slit.
Say that once again. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to manage. I
Oh,
am
it's
listening.
okay.
Say
You
that
remember the
last
old
part.
TVs, like when you used to turn them off, and they would like the screen would kind of like implode and do that like
Yes,
slit
yes, yes, yes.
screen.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
like before it would like turn black. That's what it did. It like ran, and I saw that like white like slit. Like it was a lot bigger, but it was like that white slit, and that thing just disappeared into it, like running full speed slit, and I like ran into the slit, and that was it, gone.
Isn't it wild? And what was that? I mean, what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was Sasquatch running into a portal, or the veil. Or,
or
I
some,
I can only speculate, really. Like if the Sasquatch don't come to me and tell me something directly, I just say it's speculation or my opinion or what I think happened. I could tell you verbatim what I saw and what my eyewitness account was, but it doesn't mean I understand or I know anything about it.
yeah, that's fair enough, and that's pretty much where we're all at. Where there's this, Charles Freudian state of uh, trying to wrap our head around something that's part of our reality, that's running parallel with us. It's invisible to us most of the time, and yet it's still there. It's real, and it's only because I think this only because we now have the technology and the opportunity through communication through like the internet and digital cameras that we can now start to figure out some of this stuff besides stories. And
Yeah,
it's going to take a while. We're in the beginning stages, really, of something that's actually much
yeah,
more. A lot of people think, well, Bigfoot and everything, people know about it for years, and I'm like, yeah, they have, and they also know about all this other stuff too. But the thing is now putting all the pieces together to understand it. At one time, people understood about, I don't know, what's a good example of an animal, hyenas or okay, wolverines. One time wolverines were this legendary creature that people talked about, but most people never saw it or understood it. And now, I mean, you can watch documentaries about wolverines.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So that's the beginning stages
yeah,
of a new field of research. As much as it may not seem that way, we really are. We're at the beginning of a new stage of new field of research that's much bigger than just
yeah. It's gonna
Sasquatch.
take it. It's gonna take some tweaking on our end too. Like like I had to start. I didn't want to make shorts like on YouTube. I didn't want to make shorts, but I had to accept the fact that that's what some people's time span is, or their attention span, and that's what's popular. And like, okay, well, if this is my way that I'm gonna reach people, then I'm gonna try to reach people. I'm gonna adapt and overcome what I want to do and what I think is stupid, and just do it. Because if that's for the greater good, then I'm gonna do it. And Sasquatch is never going to be viral or whatever trending. You know what I mean? Like it's so
It might
the,
be you know what, we don't know what 50 years is going to hold. We have
right,
no
right.
idea
That's
how
what I'm
fast the
saying.
world's
As
going to
far
change.
as like
We
right
might be
now, though,
living.
like there's so much at work against it. Hopefully down the line, yes. like you said, like hopefully like with a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of change and more, like Mike Patterson just did that thing at the university.
Yeah, it was good.
You know, so like
Wasn't it
he was
awesome?
reaching young
I watched that
people.
too. Mike did a good
Yeah.
job.
And my buddy Gary does it in upstate New York. He talks at universities, and they're reaching young people. That's like important. Like when I look at my analytics, I don't have but 7% of people are within the 30s to 44, and then like less than 5% are younger than that, and then the rest are older than that, and 44 and older. You know, and so how do we reach that? How do we reach that other, you know, younger demographic to like plant seeds? That's something that I'm hoping some of these younger guys that are coming up can figure out, and hopefully they'll be able to do, because you know,
Right. Well,
and
this is what
I have a lot of faith in them. I do. Some of these guys down in Florida especially, they're a lot of young guys coming up and doing a lot of good things.
well, this is how I see it, and it's not going to be any different than anything else in life, right? It's going to be a convoluted mess like it is now. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. This is
Hmm.
how it works, okay? So there's going to be people who are just going to use this and write it just for popularity and just for numbers and for dopamine fix and for like. Then there's going to be other guys that are going to be just deal with this to disprove it or to make fun of it, or you know what I mean. There's going to be different motivations, but there's always going to be a select group, a crowd of
Oh, it's,
people who have relics, who had encounters, experiences, and have things going on, who want answers. We need to
yeah.
work together, because what's going to happen, just like in any other field, there's the people that work outside the box and bring new information and are willing to face the darts, face the insults, face the ridicule, because the truth is more important than whether people love you or not. They're the ones that are going to bring on the next level of understanding or overstanding, depending on how you see it, and to a greater reality and understanding. So we're just like another layer of, there were pioneers before us, and we're a different type of pioneer. We're a digital pioneers of a new revealing a reality that always was there. And it's as simple as that. It's just choice. You know that I don't think we can look. This is how it is. I don't think you, Mike, have much of a choice in the matter. You are put in this situation. You could fight it all you want, but you'd be miserable if you weren't out there stomping in the woods and searching for the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Gives you purpose, it gives you meaning, because that's what you were meant to do.
Yeah.
Just like Damon's meant to do that, just like Brown Dwarf's meant to do, just like Marilyn, um, Marilyn Squatch Watcher, just like Jared from Sasquatch Confessions, just like a lot of you folks, you know what I mean? And some of you that I'm just learning about, and you're part of that. You've been, yes, very way of putting it, digital shamans. Great idea. No, it's really, it sounds funny,
It's
but no,
true.
it's the truth, absolutely.
Yeah.
Revealing truth to people, a greater understanding of our life and purpose. We're bringing people out of this materialistic, shallow, empty, self-centered uh, world that destroys more people than people want to admit through, we can't, with words that we can't even talk about, but where people, at, end their existence through all sorts of means. There's reasons going on here, and I think a big part of it is that supernatural, that spiritual, that the sixth sense, that difference of who we all are, really, that our ancestors were, that we just destroyed it through modernia, and modern philosophy, and you know what? It's done, and religion is part of the problem too. Religion captured us, our spiritual ancestors, and put us in a box that we're never supposed to be in, right? And we've been told all our lives that we can't know about these things and interact with these things. I think we need to deal it with wisdom,
Yeah.
but
Well,
you know what I mean. But it's
a lot of people get hung up on evidence. Like I'm not one of those people. For instance, like I I don't know. I'm more try to help people with understanding, if you will. Like that's something I'm big on is like learning, understanding. There's so many things I don't understand, so I don't really get hung up on like evidence. You know what I mean? But um, yeah, it's like there's so much that can be used, like you said, like with this digital age. Like there's so many different things that can be done for good. I wish I knew how to use it better. You know what I mean? Like I do. I wish I knew how to be more expansive. Like today, I saw something pop up, like it said screencasting was available. I have no idea what that is. I started searching different channels, watching videos. This only made me more confused. You know what I mean? Like so, I I'm not like that tech digital guy that's gonna like
Just one day at
be
a
able
time.
to like,
One day at a time. Don't worry more about it, man. Doesn't even matter.
oh no, I'm like
Just one day
bad.
at a
Like
time.
I'm with tech. I'm moving in reverse. It seems like.
There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe that's what you're meant to do, man. So,
Yeah, I think so. I do.
what's
Yeah.
going on here with this image? What's the story behind this?
I think it's a juvenile. He presented himself. I think I was with someone that day. I think I was with a guy named Rob who used to, well, not used to. He was coming out with me for quite a while before I moved, and then he, I think he was with me. That was in South Haven State Park. Normally, I don't do locations, um, but that particular day, I was talking about the location because I was there looking for Sika deer. That's why I went there. It was like a specific deer that isn't native to, I think it's Asia bound is where it comes from. But so this state park used to be owned by a rich guy way back in the day, and he hunted, and he wanted something new to hunt, so he brought in Sika deer, and they're still there. They survived all this time, and they're still there. And I had never seen one in real life, and I wanted to see one, so I went. That's what I went to see. Whatever else came along was cool, but that was my goal that day, and I did. I saw a male and a female not too far away before they ran, and it's very exciting. On my way out, I saw this guy, and it's very, very cool.
Yeah, it is. I have had that similar encounters too, or doing something else, and also I end up filming something that's on the edge. How tall do you think that thing is? Basically, it looks like is
It was,
he
I think it was on the ground. I think it was sitting down, or whatever. I can't tell you exactly, but it was fairly low to the ground. Maybe
I don't think it's an elemental spirit. I think you got another thing I noticed about Bigfoot when you film them, you'll film other things along them, entities, and like projection stuff like that. Like this thing right here. You might say that that's just pareidolia, but the more you pay attention to what's going on in that tree,
yeah, right,
it's
right.
like they're like project these things in front to confuse you. They do some kind of I think they use other spirits as like a shield, the block, then confuse what you're looking at. Then okay, now they'll say it's pareidolia, but if you think through and you really start paying attention, there's other things always associated with Sasquatch. And if you can embrace that and start looking for the other things, you'll start to see something, at least my opinion, and that is that there is multiple entities, usually near or around Sasquatch, that aren't Sasquatch.
Hmm.
And they have some kind of control over these other entities, influence, dominance over them, and they use them to create things that look like a hologram, or like Damien, like a hologram. We might
See,
call it a hologram because of our understanding of our technology, but remember, their technology is not our technology. It's much more older, it's much more sophisticated, and it's much more magical. Saying that, you
similar
can
to
be.
like, sorry, bro. Sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead. I
I
mean,
didn't.
I'll go
I'm
on and
sorry. I
on and
didn't.
on. Go on. So, yeah, I'll just
Similar
go
to
on
like
and on.
how a whale, like a whale, is like a giant, right? And like it's like this like immovable force, but like there's these things on it this big that ride on it, and like they eat these things off the whale that helps it, you know, survive. And like and those little things survive by catching rides with the whale and eating the things off it. But like I call them riders. Like some of the stuff I see on the Sasquatch, they're like these little things. I'm like, I don't know what they are, but they always seem to be like catching a ride or something like. And I'm like, we named them riders. Like we don't know what the hell to call them, but like
Probably the
I
right term.
wonder.
It's
I'm like
riders.
sometimes I wonder like you said, they probably play a role that is beneficial to the both of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no. I mean, well, there. Why and how it works, we don't know. But there's the association is there. I mean, it's filmed countless times from different experiences, different locations. So just to dismiss it, I mean, I think they did a number on us when it came to this pareidolia BS. It really did a number on people.
And yeah, there's another rumor too that oh, your face, you know, your brain is made to create faces and see faces. That's such BS. I don't know where that came from. Our brains don't just do. I see a face. Like
Well, they
who?
did.
Some of the stuff is it's so stacked up against us. It's sad.
Well, they do
It's sad.
weaponize the sciences against us. This is well established, whether it's anthropology, psychology.
But once
Uh,
you realize that science is literally ignoring them, then it de-weaponizes it like that. You know what I mean? Like in my opinion.
well, yeah,
If they turn their back on it, every single scientist turns their back on it, then you can't really use science against us. Like, but people don't see it that way.
well, they turn it. The psychobabble, the religious psycho. They call it scientism. It's the modern version of a new religion called scientism, where science itself is like some kind of entity or some kind of being, and it's infallible, and it can, you know what I mean. There's never any mistakes. But once you understand the scientific method and what science is, a constant inquiry and challenging the narrative and trying to get a better, clear
Science
understanding.
experiments, right? They're
Yeah,
called
it's
experiments, science experiments, because it's trial and error until there's a proven thing. So you get to
a
that
true
proven
scientist
thing.
will never a true scientist will never say, I know the absolute truth about anything. It's constant
Yeah,
inquiry. You know what I mean? Because the moment you actually say, I know absolute truth about everything, something throws up that's gonna make you look like like you don't know what you're talking about. So I mean, and it takes life experience to do that too. You know, you're like, I knew it was this way. I knew it had to be this way. And then it was proven that I was absolutely wrong. And then you got to swallow crow and do it all over again. But what's going on here with this hot mass? My gosh, that has to be 30 to 35 feet tall. How big
I
is
think
this
that's
thing?
the big one.
Yeah, it's a big one, regardless. It's a big one.
Yeah, it's
and it's
I don't
long,
know,
and it's in
40 to
Long
50.
Island.
That's
The
hard.
heck? Look at how tall that
Yeah, there's no
thing. I
woods on
mean,
Long Island. But yeah.
uh,
It's definitely 40 foot easy.
what the heck is it? Why are they? What do you think they're doing?
It's easily 40 foot. You can argue 50 if you want to take the tallest tree. There's one center tree or like two or three center trees that are like bigger than what looks like the tallest point.
Well,
Can I blow your
I'm waiting
mind,
for that
Mike?
day, Damien. We're all waiting for
Please,
that day, Damien, for you to do that. So please.
always.
um, yeah, I mean, why do you? Okay, so what's your best guess why they're doing this? I mean, no, I've seen images and videos and paintings of Native Americans that did the exact same thing. That they would make this stuff that they'd end up they find the straightest pole trees for teepees and for forts and for buildings and all kind of stuff, and they would lean them against a tree like this. Now, that's what I know. I'm not saying it's the so and what's going on here. I do think sometimes I wonder if we're dealing with indigenous or native spirits that still dwell around here or come in and out, or maybe they're trying to single or us. I don't know. But what's your take on it? Do you think it is? Because your guess is about as good as mine. Why they're doing this stuff?
Well, yeah, anybody's guess is good, right? But I think they. So I've something I've learned along the way is one of the biggest things that helped me out was that Sasquatch don't have to consume food like we do to gain sustenance and energy. They can harness energy differently.
I think they get it from the sun, the
They,
trees.
yeah, they do. The sun, the trees, all that stuff. That's why those structures are all interconnecting. It's like conduit, and they'll end in they have an ending place, which is usually a structure, which I call charging stations. They'll sit there, they soak it up, whatever. That's not opinion. That's something they showed me. Take it or leave it.
No,
Um,
no, let's talk more about
these
that. No, no, no,
so
no, 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 you
these are
can't. What?
free.
Wait, bro, you can't just. No. They showed you this, and I know you talked about this. You've mentioned it, but not too many people said, "Stop, let's talk." Tell us what you're talking about here, man, because your experience is not ours, and so tell us what you mean. They told you this.
Okay, so I was shown this by them, like however you want to look at it, via mind speak, download, telepathy, teaching. Um, sometimes it's like, sometimes it's telepathy, sometimes it's like a knowing, sometimes it's like something gets downloaded. It was probably a combination of all three, where I was shown, and then it wasn't really clicking for me. And then the guy I was out with was an electrician. He mentioned something, and then Montauk Strange is here. He mentioned something about mycelium would be a good connector for the floor bed, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And all the pieces came together, and it was just this big light bulb went off. And
Like an epiphany. The pieces
right,
are put
so
together.
we know now that they snap
Right.
trees to keep them alive, so that conduit stays alive, that energy still free flows through them. They bend them so that they're not snapping them off, they're keeping them alive. That's why they're bending them, that's why they're snapping them, but they're still attached because they're still alive. The roots are still in, all that energy is still free flowing, it still has life.
Okay.
um so they're utilizing them without killing them, without taking that life force away, that energy. And then they're connecting them all. So like you'll see a snap that goes into something else, that goes into another tree, that might go into a bend, that goes into a log that's down, that goes into something else, and onward until you hit that point where it's all going, that they're taking it in. They're activating a veil with it all. I was shown. It's not visible, obviously, but it
Oh,
when
good. Your mic just dropped off for a second. Yeah, so this is
these
how I.
these confuse me when it comes to that, because they're freestanding. So my thing is that they might be on top of something important, or the sun might come down right into them, or that the alignment has to be something important of these structures, these TPs. They must be in that spot for some reason, energy-based reason, in my opinion.
Right. Well, from
I don't know.
my research and what I observed, there's multiple things going on. I do think that at times, in fact, I know, and I've seen it when I've seen them come out of trees and they manifest before
Yeah,
my face, that tree dies. So they have the power and ability somehow. They're using. I think when they manifest, and you can actually see them with your naked eyes, they have to use an immense amount of energy and life force out of the trees, and many times those trees end up dying, right? And but that's not always the case. I think there's multiple things. There's also, they know, like you said, they know how to harness the energy of the trees as well.
yeah.
It's just like
Then we see those burnt trees in the middle of nowhere, like burnt branches, burnt trees, and I always wonder where that comes from too. And one thing I think might happen is where there's a portal, there's fire, kind of like it singes things. You know what I mean? Like as that portal opens or closes, it might singe like the surrounding area. Hence, like the burnt wood that's like just in the middle of nowhere. It's not like there was a fire. There's just some burnt wood. You know?
yeah. And I did a show. I was supposed to do a show with somebody else, and they blew me off. So it was a good thing, because in the end, I was able to research some of the images I filmed last week. I think it was a Tuesday when I filmed it, and it was weird that evening. Um, it was overcast, but I couldn't capture everything I tried to film. It was blurry. The EMF, the energy frequency around me in my neighborhood and in the trees was extremely high. And
Mhm.
I've been able to film, and at least I can see that when these things manifest, I can see energy, EMF, emitting out of these trees, and you can see
Okay.
it. And you know, guys, if you can come back, well, I'll do another show. But I got to do some shows of my own research. But I'm having so much fun interviewing people this week. I got another one on Sunday, by the way. Some guy that's been following me, Sam, I get a chance to talk to him after 6 years. And anyways, it's going to be an interesting conversation. He's from Indiana. But back to this, I filmed it, and I mean, actually, the image behind me, I don't know if it's how good it is, but you can see not only things that look like Bigfoot manifesting out of this huge branch out of this old silver maple. You can see the energy. You can see it. And by the way, it's an overcast day, so it's not the sun reflecting out from the tree.
Right, right.
And so that's something, you know, and part of the issue I discovered too as time going on is the quality of camera you have. And
Hmm.
I think, and also taking stills. I think stills are an important part of
A
anybody's research.
different story. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because you're able to capture things. Because you know these things are moving at a frequency and energy that's it's very high, and so it's very
Well, if
difficult.
your camera, like, if your camera takes a picture at, let's just say it's a 75 frames per second, right? And there's 75 frames in that 1 second. So, like, something could, these things are so fast and moving so rapidly that, if that's why on the video, some guys will slow the video down to like 0.25 speed and they see something.
I
And
do.
if I watch it at even half speed, it doesn't show up. But then at quarter speed, it does. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'll freeze it. And if I freeze it on that second, and then I don't see it, but if I move it up a little bit, that bar, and it's still the same second, technically, it's still in the same second, but things have changed.
Right.
I learned in that, just playing around with just that, how much things are possible within one still frame, you know?
Yes, I think that I'd honestly, from my little research and from my well, not my little, a lot of research and from my personal experience, I believe the reason to even design a camera in the first place was to capture spirits. It was not for a family portrait for human beings. You got to understand that the people that rule this realm of this world that we call
That's a
Earth,
good point, actually.
they have always been obsessed with what we're obsessed with, the spirit realm. What's going on around us. With their seances and their other experiences, and they've seen things, and it's been an obsession for thousands of years by many, many a sorcerer and many of a scientist and many of it doesn't matter. It's all of our obsessions at one level or another of trying to understand what's around us. And so one of the first things that was developed 200 years ago, at the same time that the steam engine was developed, of all things, a camera that's in order to what film things. What did they first start? I mean, the old images from the 1900s, you can see so many. It's
Yeah.
not pareidolia. You see flat out faces. I
Yeah.
mean, human faces, Bigfoot and everything. And I just think it's um
Well, have you ever seen Dorothy? Is it or whatever her name was? She did a documentary called "Capturing the Light" on Netflix, and she she had light beings around her whole life and whatever, and she used multiple cameras. She had like 3 or 4 different cameras. One was like a 9 millimeter, one was like a still frame, one was like a Polaroid, whatever. But she had a bunch of different ones, and she would pick them up and film it with different ones, and it was amazing. There was like, if you guys get a chance, check it out. It's not on that. It's on. I think it might cost a couple of bucks on Amazon Prime or whatever. It's definitely not Netflix though.
what's going on here, bro?
Well, yeah, but guess it's as good as mine what we got here. But some ancient type of female. I believe she's a female. Um, yeah, that was a great catch for me. Um, I don't know. I don't think it's a Sasquatch at all. It's hairless for one. Um,
See,
bald and hairless. Definitely humanoid of some sort. coming up out of the ground, or the tree, however you want to look at it. But I don't know, Anunnaki maybe. I really don't know.
So some
Really
type
don't.
of elemental spirit or some kind of spirit.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the impression too that many us, in this realm, I like the Native American cosmology of there's an underworld, middle world, and upper world. We live in
Mhm.
the middle world, right? Where the
Yeah.
trunks are, the underworld is where the roots are and the soil, but it's all symbolic. And then the trees represent, reaching out into the upper world, the sky. I think in this realm, I think that there are it's the trees are like a highway from one place to the other. And when we assume that we hear underworld, because of Roman Catholic propaganda and Dante's Infernal and how they quoted and translated the Bible. Everyone thinks they're all going to burn in hell, right? And the underworld is some just terrible place where they'll just burn. But I think the underworld is a real place. There are certain entities that were designed to be there that come in and out. And I think, you don't, and then they come in and they also come in the middle world and they come up to the upper world and come down. The Indians have this, where they're the way the world is and cosmology is that the stars are portals, right? And the goal is eventually to go back to their happy, that they say the happy hunting ground, whatever. That this place where you're meant to be, right? And we talk about this place being like it's like itself. We live in a giant orb, if you will, and waiting for that time to go back home. Where in the meantime, we're going through all these different experiences. We're going to the different levels of things. And I think that just because it's something looks, what I'm saying is, part of what I'm saying is, just because something looks scary, weird, doesn't mean it's evil or not meant to be there. Now, this is one of the things, I like my brother Scott Carpenter, and I'm not knocking him, but to say everything's freaking a Nephilim is not fair. It is not, you can't say that and be intellectually honest. You can't say everything that we film is a Nephilim. You know what I mean? You can't say that Bigfoot is a Nephilim. I mean, you can, but on what basis? A few verses in the Bible? I'm sorry, that's not being honest. Just not
A
being,
lot of the guys who say things indefinitely, I find always end up contradicting themselves, whether they realize it or not. And that's one of the reasons I leave a lot of things open ended, is because I just realize you can't just put a period at the end of any of this stuff, because it's ongoing.
right, and they come in. There's like coming apparent to me that we're dealing with so many different things.
Yeah.
So many different things, and things are being revealed to us slowly here and there. To those who have enough, they have the bravery and the willingness to accept that there's something much deeper going on. I think it's kind of like Sasquatch is kind of like its own ambassador to us, to a
Yeah.
reality around us.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We're dealing with multiple entities here. And so I think this is pretty cool. Whether it's a Bigfoot or not, like you said, no one's going to know. You can't really say. But it's pretty cool regardless.
I mean, yeah, I'd love to. I've had this photo of probably 4 years now. I'd love to have a definitive answer on it, but at the same time, I kind of love that I don't know. You
Now,
know?
it kind of reminds me, can't say for sure, but the little people or
Yeah, she was like a human size. That's what's weird. Like as far as her
I
head,
guess
like
when you look at a
her,
log,
her, her
yeah.
her head would go to something that was like 5 or 6 foot. You know what I mean? Like that was the size of the head, at least. Like, um,
What if it's just
in my
okay,
recollection, at least. Who knows?
some kind of interdimensional beings, spirits, man? There's different. Maybe we all assume there's only one type of little people, right? And what we mean by little people in the first place, maybe little people actually can get to maybe our height and all different types. And we'll just right now just generically say they're little people until we get the definitive answers of what's going on about who and what. Because you cannot keep filming different things over and over again. Not just myself, but thousands of other people are starting to wake up and realize and seeing there's stuff in their camera that are like, they don't make sense. That's a person or an entity or something there, but it doesn't look like necessarily what we say a Bigfoot's supposed to look like, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so we know it does look like an entity for sure.
Well, it would be ignorant
Oh,
for anybody to say little people or like puckwudgies or something don't exist or can't exist. We have little people as far as humans. I mean, it's more rare. Like they're not born as often, but dwarf humans are born all the time. Or I don't know what the proper vernacular is anymore, but they're
I can't
so
keep up.
if it exists within humans, why wouldn't it exist other place? You know?
Yeah. So, we chalk it up. Um, I think one of the next steps in our phase of our research, bro, is trying to now distinguish the different things that we're filming. Right? We know that Sasquatch is real. We know the Bigfoot's real. We know that Grassman is real. We know that all these different entities and dogmans are real. There's enough documentation to say there's something going on there. And there's also we've been told that there's little people and there's other entities. I think it's our job to start revealing deeper truths and that there's more than just one thing. I know it's like, well, no, I want to focus on Bigfoot, but you just can't. I don't know how you just can just focus on Bigfoot. You there's more that's being revealed. I think it's part of the
One of
journey, right?
one of the things I plan on doing to expand is it's not close to me. It's gonna be an excursion, but I plan on going up to Lake Champlain. Uh, it's very far upstate New York and like Vermont border, I believe. But Lake Champlain has something in it called Champ, which is very similar to the Loch Ness monster Nessie. So it's a very possible plesiosaur. Like obviously everyone wants to categorize it as something that existed once upon a time, but um, and that's another thing too. If dinosaurs existed, you know what I mean? Like I just don't, you know, I don't know how people write so many things off.
Yeah, it's the world is much bigger than we we realize. I think we saw this one already. You know what, dude? I want to tell you something. You told me you were only going to do an hour.
I did want to give you everything I could. You know what I mean? I didn't.
Now,
I could have.
I hear this so many times. I only got to do for an hour, and then it's like 2, 3 hours later, and people are and like, dude, I'm not forcing you to hang with me just because you're having fun, dude.
No, yeah, my pain subsided and we were on a roll, so I wanted to at least, try.
I
I
had
should I
fun.
should wrap up because I got my son's gonna be here very early tomorrow. So, but
I had a blast, and it was fun talking to you. I hope you had the same enjoyment that I had, Mike.
yeah, thank you
And
all for being here, guys. I saw a lot of people in the chat. Please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe over here.
yeah, and don't forget over there and everywhere else.
Don't
Don't
do it.
forget about Mike over there and Long Island. Long Island was some of the tallest freaking teepee structures that I have ever seen. That I've seen. That doesn't mean that there's not others like it, but out east, Long Island, guys, you need to think about what I'm saying here. These
It's
are
it's
massive. What's
it's
going on? I mean, there's a lot of people around where you're at. It's not like you were like talking
there
about.
is and there is and there isn't. Like there is and there isn't. The further east you go, the more thin out it gets, and it's very wooded. Like the Pine Barrens is 100,000 acres, just alone on the island. So this is like the beginning. This is the very beginning of the Pine Barrens, technically, but it's a separate preserve. So
Cool. Well, I'm gonna as always, it's in the information box about a link to get to Mike's YouTube channel. I am going to end this with some music, closing out music. Mike, thank you for joining me. I had fun harassing you to get you to right here. And I bet you were thinking, this guy's like, oh my gosh, he's not
no, it
another
wasn't. It
weirdos.
wasn't that bad. I just felt bad because I didn't know you were reaching out because of where you were reaching out to me at. So I literally put it in I put it in my video that I did today. I was like, if you're reaching out to me and you're doing it, if you're doing it, and I'm not ignoring you because I feel bad.
Oh, don't
I
worry
don't.
about it. I was going. You know what? It was meant to be. It was going to work out anyways. And Jared from Sasquatch Confessions, a special shout out to you for making it kind of happen. Because
Mhm.
if it wasn't for you, I think that Mike would have realized I was. He would have known I'm maybe
I
the
would
real.
never have seen your messages if we weren't both in his chat on TikTok. Yep.
This has been a good time, man. I hope to talk to you soon, man. Good
All
luck
right,
with
buddy.
your research and
Thank you.
have a great time.
Thank you
Remember,
so much for having me, bro. Keep up the great work, man.
you bet, man. Here we go, bro. Here we go. When I said, here we go, Bo. Here we go, folks. I don't know where that came from.
You're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.
If you don't know, you should take it slow. Are you searching?